what you will and you will not tolerate in your life. This communicates the most powerful elements of attraction to her, far more powerful than an entertaining story or game. This is why it's quite possible to piss a woman off and turn her on that at the same time. Any man experienced with women will be familiar with this. If a beautiful woman says something that a needy man finds offensive, he'll ignore it, change the topic, or withhold his true feelings. Hell, he might even pretend to go along with her for fear of making her upset. But an unneedy of man will tell her what she just said was offensive. Let the chips fall where they may. He won't be an asshole about it. He will simply draw a line in the sand. I don't like stuff like that. And she can choose to step across it or not. Narcissistic men often misconstrue this as a free ticket to tell people they're always wrong, or to basically do what they want without paying attention to the feelings of others. That's overcompensation, and actually the behavior of someone who is overinvested and validated by the reactions of those around. A non-needy man doesn't seek to impose himself on the boundaries of others. He is merely interested in maintaining his own boundaries while respecting the boundaries of others. Non-neediness means you respect yourself and others. Narcissism means you only respect yourself. Neediness means you only respect others. Non-neediness means you respect yourself and others. Narcissism means you only respect yourself. Neediness means you only respect others. The difference is that if a woman says something offensive, a narcissistic man will berate her and try to get her to change her mind, whereas a non-needy man will simply make it clear that he found what she said offensive and will not tolerate it again. How she responds is her choice. If a woman insults a non-needy man's friends, he will not hesitate to tell her to stop and stand up for those he cares about. If a woman says she needs to leave a date after 30 minutes, he will not try to trick her into staying or beg her to come back. He will not yell at her or lecture her on manners. He will smile and say, "Nice meeting you," and let it go. Hold your line, don't go around breaking somebody else's. Most questions or problems men email me with, at their core, somehow involve a failure to maintain their boundaries. Whether it's about the date, a man, a woman not calling him back, a woman making fun of his job, or whatever, his perceived problem is simply him not stepping up and telling her what he's willing to accept and not willing to accept in his relationships. Typically, it has to do with something like the following. She really liked me and gave me her number. She responds to my text, but when I tried to get her out on a date, she made excuse. So then I text her some more and she says she wants to see me. But when she did show up for the second date, she was late and said she had to go early. She didn't kiss me. Now I'm texting her and she's texting back, but won't agree to go on the third date. What do I do? Usually men like these are obsessive about the games women play, or how to deal with tests from women. My answer to these men is always the same. If you make it clear from the beginning that you're unwilling to put up with games, then not only will the women you attract stop playing games, but you'll start attracting women too. An example above my plan of action, I would have said to her, "Let me know when you'd like to get together again. If you're not interested, that's fine too." Yes, I would actually say this to her, not in a harsh manner, but in a clear manner. I said something similar to women probably 5, 10 times. With that exception, they're completely stunned. Often they immediately apologize and say that they didn't mean to be so flaky. Oddly enough, my honesty and complete willingness to be rejected or to reject them demonstrates my non-neediness and often it causes them to become more attracted to me. Let me know when you'd like to get together again. If you're not interested, that's fine too. And a couple times they say, "You're right, I don't want to date you," in so many words. And that's okay. Yeah, it hurt to hear that. But a lot of shit in life hurts. Get over it. It's for the better. She just saved us both a lot of time and effort. Your ability and willingness to establish boundaries is inversely proportional to how needy you are. Men who are needy and lack vulnerability will keep their boundaries loose and open, inviting manipulation into their lives and allowing people to walk over them. This is because they are more than willing to accept and also receive validation from the women they need.
When men who ordinarily establish strict boundaries because they value their own time and happiness more than receiving attention from a woman, they also see no reason to trample over other people's boundaries. When it comes to making yourself more vulnerable, the first step is often to begin establishing your own boundaries. Learn how to say no to people, particularly women. Start having options, opinions on what you like and don't like, what you will tolerate and won't tolerate. Be honest with yourself, painfully honest, and then be painfully honest with her. The problem with forming stronger boundaries is that in order to form them, you have to be particularly aware of your own desires and emotions. And many men who have been needy their entire lives are not very self-aware. They don't know what they are willing to stand up for and what they are willing to let aside. That's why they don't know their own emotional motivations and desires. Men will often have to spend a lot of time seeking truth within themselves first before they are able to express it to others. Well, finding your truth. Here are some truths that I found I found out about myself. My overwhelming desire for affection from women probably has a lot to do with the fact that I was raised by a single mom in adolescence. My parents' divorce left a deep-seated fear of commitment in me that permitted all of my relationship into my 30s. That's a lot of what I considered cool when I was younger was really just different ways to protect myself and medicate my emotional wounds. That I resented my dad for a long time, that I have a peculiar obsession with my masculinity, that my most important values are honesty, empathy, and intellectual curiosity, that I'm unwilling to tolerate women who don't make me happy, no matter how hot they are. It's easy for me to say these things now, and what's important is not the words. What's important is the floodgates of emotions that came up as I discovered these truths about myself. As I discovered these things about myself, it allowed me to express previously stifled emotions in my daily life and with the women. Because I've discovered each one of the above truths about myself, I've then been able to draw boundaries based on that truth, which in return makes me less needy. For instance, when I first started going out, I spent a lot of time beating my head against the wall, trying to pick up the hot club girls at loud nightclubs. You know, fake tans, fake tits, fake hair, fake personalities. For whatever reason, I couldn't keep their attention long enough. Eventually, after pushing things further and spending more time and effort in those places than I cared to admit, I went home with a few of them. And well, it was pretty disappointing. What I discovered is that there was not anything objectively better or more interesting about these girls. The only thing that seems to attract men to them is the fact that they look like women they see on TV and movies and in porn. There is nothing genuinely enticing about them other than that they are seen as a status symbol. And chasing them was 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 born out of neediness, not genuine honesty. It took me a couple years, but I eventually realized that I was chasing a status symbol, a pat on the back, basically reliving and redeeming all of my failed high school moments where the pretty girl didn't pay attention to me. It had nothing to do with the women. It had everything to do with me. Now, when I meet the women at a place like that who doesn't show me any depth to her personality, I'm unwilling to put any more effort into getting to know her. My boundary is established. I value curiosity, education, intelligence, and authenticity. I also don't value fake looks, such as pounds of makeup, bronzer, hair extensions, or super tight skirts. Okay, maybe I do value the tight skirts. But the irony? Because that boundary is established, I'm not invested in these women much at all, and as a result, I get more attention from them than ever before. It's important to look at the reasons why you are why you are
overinvested around women and have an honest discussion with yourself about it to try and resolve it. For instance, perhaps you are overinvested around women because you are a virgin and have no experience with them. Then you need to look at how being inexperienced is causing you to undervalue yourself and seek validation. You must become comfortable with the idea of being inexperienced and be comfortable admitting that insecurity if you wish to gain a lot of experience. Or perhaps your ex-girlfriend left you for another man and you are bitter. Before you can undo the anger that is causing you to be over-invested, you need to come to terms with why you are angry and accept why your ex left you. Well, for me, a big part of this was accepting that actually I had been a pretty naive and shitty boyfriend to my ex-girlfriend, and I could understand why she would want to leave me. I also recognized flaws and insecurities in her that I hadn't noticed when we were together, and that she hadn't been the perfect angle, and I assumed she was. All in all, I came to terms with the experience and the anger receded, allowing me to let go and become less invested in the women I date. Another example is a guy who has never been cool before. Perhaps he was picked on growing up and made fun of all through high school. Maybe the popular guys in school told him he was gay and a pussy. Perhaps how perhaps now he's older, better looking and more social and is looking to compensate for all of those years of feeling insignificant. So he does it by throwing money around and attracting a lot of superficial attention. He's having fun, but he's scratching that itch. He's finally living out that need to be the cool and popular guy. But at the same time, he has to come to terms with this, accept and become comfortable admitting it. Then he can move on. Again, if you are only trying to get women to impress other guys, then you are not in a very good place, and you need to take a serious look at your motivations. To undo this, you must come to terms with why you are seeking attention and approval from other men. Maybe it goes as far back as your father, and then seek to find the approval through other means. Other means. Join a sports team, take your coworkers out for beers, buy season tickets to the local basketball team. There are much healthier ways to get male camaraderie than to try and impress other guys by getting girls. For me, I had a combination of the second two examples. I spent most of my adolescence living alone with my mother. As a result, I always related more to girls than to boys, and had few male friends until I reached adulthood. I never could relate to them as well, and not having my father around as much, both physically and emotionally, drove me to unconsciously seek lots of approval from other men. Throw on top of that the fact that my girlfriend of 4 years left me, and I had a lot of anger toward women. Combine the two, and you have a perfect recipe for a needy man who turned to narcissism in order to overcompensate and become a player. Recognizing and accepting these truths is the only thing that allowed me to resolve and let go of a lot of my investment and ignorance toward women's approval. I had to come to terms with these faults within myself before I could finally attract amazing women into my life with consistency. As soon as my need to impress other men dissipated, so did my investment in how a drunken girl in a bar short of me. As soon as I let go of some of my anger towards my ex, some of my need to fuck absolutely everything disappeared too. As a result, I became less invested and less affected by the actions of the women around me, which in turn made me more attractive around them. As if by magic, I began to attract far more beautiful and interesting women with less effort. And how do I know this?
It was clear